Are you sure this young man should be touching our most important patient? The voice was sharp, slicing through the quiet hallway like a knife. Dr. Marcus Hill paused at the door of room 214, hand still on the patient's chart. Slowly, he turned toward the voice. It was Dr. Susan Baker, the hospital's senior medical director. Her hair was pulled into a tight bun, her white coat spotless, and her cold blue eyes scanned Marcus as though he didn't belong there. Marcus recognized that look. He had seen it before. But he didn't flinch. Adjusting the stethoscope around his neck, he answered calmly, "Emily Walker has been under my care for 2 weeks. Her vitals have been improving steadily." "That's not what I asked," Dr. Baker replied. Her voice was even colder now. "The Walker family donated $5 million to this hospital. We can't afford to take chances." Marcus understood exactly what she meant by chances. She meant him, a young black doctor from the South Side, a public school graduate who earned his way into Brighton Medical School on a full scholarship. Too quiet for some, too smart to ignore, too black for them to fully accept. "I understand your concern," Marcus said evenly, "but my record speaks for itself." Without waiting for her approval, he opened the door to room 214. Inside, sunlight poured through tall windows, brushing the expensive curtains. Lying perfectly still in the center of the room was Emily Walker, 25, blonde, beautiful, and very wealthy. She had been in a coma for 4 months after a boating accident in Florida. Other doctors had written her off as non-responsive, but Marcus saw something different. He stepped closer to the bed. "Good morning, Emily," he said softly. Her chest rose and fell in rhythm with the machines. There was no movement. She looked like a perfect statue carved from ivory. Marcus leaned in. "I know you're in there." For 2 weeks he had been visiting her early every morning, talking to her, reading to her, checking her pupils, documenting the smallest changes that others ignored. That morning, as he carefully changed the bandage on the side of her head, he spoke as usual. "You know, I studied patients like you in my thesis. Sometimes the brain wakes up before the body does. I believe you're listening." What Marcus didn't know was that Emily was listening. She had been aware for weeks, not fully awake, but able to hear. She felt time passing. She recognized voices, her mother Carol's sharp tone, her brother Jason's constant demands, but Marcus spoke to her like she mattered. As Marcus finished changing the dressing, he noticed the faintest twitch of her finger. He leaned closer. "Was that you?" There was no response, but he noted it, just like he always did. Down the hallway, Dr. Baker was already meeting with another doctor, Dr. Tom Reed, older, powerful, and well-connected. "I want you to take over Emily Walker's case. The family prefers someone with senior experience." Reed nodded without hesitation. "Understood." That night, in his small apartment above a pizza shop, Marcus wrote in his notebook, "Day 14. Patient showed slight finger motion during dressing change, possibly conscious. We'll test again tomorrow." He kept the notes to himself. A man like him couldn't afford guesses. He needed undeniable proof. The next morning, when he greeted Emily like always, something unexpected happened. She blinked. Once. Then again. Marcus froze. "Emily?" She blinked a third time. It wasn't random. It was deliberate. He quickly tested her pupils. Her eyes reacted to the light. His heartbeat quickened. Day 15. Patient blinked in response to name. Pupil response normal. Conscious awareness likely. He needed help. Someone he could trust completely. He called his former mentor, Dr. Robert Allen. After reviewing Marcus's notes, Allen said, "This is real, but if they transfer the case, it will disappear. Move fast." Meanwhile, Carol Walker met with Dr. Reed. "I want my daughter better," she demanded. "She's stable, but not improving," Reed replied. "Then make her improve," Carol snapped. Emily, still trapped in her body, heard every word. She wanted to scream, but the only one who believed in her was Marcus.
The next morning, Marcus arrived early to check on her. She blinked again at the sound of his voice. Her fingers twitched slightly in his hand. "That's all I need," he whispered. When he stepped into the hallway, Dr. Baker was waiting. Her voice was cold. "Dr. Hill, there's been a change. Dr. Reed will now take over Miss Walker's case." Marcus frowned. "Why?" "They're not comfortable with your approach," she said. "You mean they're not comfortable with me?" Marcus replied. Baker didn't deny it. "She's waking up," Marcus insisted. "I have evidence." "You're off the case. Do not go near room 214 again." Inside her room, Emily heard everything. She also overheard Carol telling Dr. Reed, "Maybe we should consider surgery, stimulate her brain directly." Reed warned it was risky, but Carol was determined. "She's not coming back. This delay is ruining us." Emily was furious, but she couldn't move. That night, Marcus met Dr. Allen again. "They're pushing for surgery," Marcus said. "Do you have all the records?" Allen asked. "Yes, everything is documented." "Then contact Dr. Lisa Carter at the State Medical Board. And maybe the media. Truth in Medicine owes me a favor." 2 days later, Marcus met Dr. Carter and the Truth in Medicine team in a quiet corner of the hospital. He showed them Emily's videos, pulse data, and logs. "This is serious. We need to act quickly," Carter said. Meanwhile, Carol demanded surgery immediately. Reed suggested an experimental brain stimulation technique. Jason agreed. That night, Marcus received an urgent text from a trusted nurse. "Urgent. Surgery for Emily. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. Marcus tightened his grip on his phone. "She's not ready. She's almost there. They'll ruin her chance." He called Allen. "Tell Carter and the media, we move at 8:30. In her room, Emily fought harder than ever to move. Her eyes blinked. Her lips shifted. Her hand twitched. She focused on one word: stop. Marcus stayed up all night organizing evidence, charts, timestamps, video clips. At the very top of the folder, he placed a note from Allen. "The system only changes when someone risks everything. You are that someone, Marcus." At 8:30 the next morning, the surgical team gathered for pre-briefing. Carol and Jason sat in the front row, confident. Then, the doors opened. Marcus walked in, not alone, but with Dr. Carter, Dr. Allen, and the Truth in Medicine camera crew. Carol shot to her feet immediately. "What is this? He's not allowed in here." Dr. Carter calmly raised her badge. "I have full authority from the State Medical Board to investigate malpractice." The color drained from Dr. Reed's face. Marcus stepped forward, voice steady. "What's outrageous isn't me being here. Outrageous is planning brain surgery on a patient who's been awake for weeks." A wave of shocked murmurs swept across the room. Without another word, Marcus pressed play on his tablet. On the screen, video clips appeared. Emily blinking at his voice, her vital signs changing. Dr. Reed ignoring signs that were right in front of him. Then, the last clip played. A live feed from room 214. Emily Walker was sitting upright in her hospital bed, eyes open, lips shifting faintly. The entire room went still. There was a sharp intake of breath, followed by a heavy silence. Carol slowly dropped into her chair, her face pale. Marcus didn't speak. He didn't need to. For a moment, no one moved. Every eye stayed fixed on the screen. Carol's expression was frozen. Jason's jaw tightened. Dr. Reed stepped backward as though the truth itself was pressing against him. Marcus finally broke the silence. "She woke up 3 days ago. She asked us not to announce it until this moment." "That's impossible," Carol muttered under her breath. "No," Marcus replied evenly. "She's been conscious for weeks. She's heard everything." Jason scoffed, trying to regain control. "This is some trick." Dr. Carter stepped in sharply. "The signs were there. Your doctor either ignored them or chose to." She turned toward Dr. Reed. Your license is now under emergency review. You are suspended from practice effective immediately." Reed's voice shook. I was only trying to—" "No," Dr. Allen cut in firmly. "You didn't read the data. You didn't listen to the patient. And worst of all, you didn't care." Security approached, and Dr. Reed was escorted from the room. Carol straightened in her seat, trying to recover some composure. "This is a circus. My daughter needs proper care, not media stunts." Marcus's eyes met hers without flinching. She needed care 4 months ago. What she got was pressure for a risky surgery that could have destroyed her chance at recovery. He opened a folder and held it up. "And here is proof that you tried to delay her recovery for legal gain." The room reacted instantly. Whispers spread. Dr. Carter took the folder. "This will be forwarded to state prosecutors. It contains bank records and recorded conversations showing influence over medical decisions." Jason turned toward his mother. "Is this true?" Carol stayed silent. Marcus spoke again, voice calm but cutting. "Emily heard every word. She heard your meetings, the talk about inheritance, the plan to end the limbo."
In room 214, Emily sat up in bed with a nurse beside her. "Can I speak to them now?" The nurse nodded and passed her a tablet. Within seconds, her face appeared on the screen in the auditorium. She looked straight into the camera. "My name is Emily Walker," she began, her voice clear and steady. "I was in a coma for months, but I woke up weeks ago. I couldn't move or speak, but I could hear." She paused, letting the weight of her words settle. "I heard my family talk about me like I was already gone. I heard plans for risky surgery, but most of all, I heard Dr. Marcus Hill. He treated me like a human being. He never gave up on me." Carol's voice trembled. "Emily, we didn't know." "Yes, you did," Emily said sharply. "You just didn't care." She turned her eyes toward Marcus. "Thank you. You saved my life, not just my body, but me as a person." That evening, River Hope Hospital released a formal statement. Marcus Hill was promoted to Chief of Neurology. Under his leadership, a new department would be built, focusing on consciousness recovery protocols, using the research from Emily's case. Dr. Reed's license was revoked. Investigations uncovered that he had ignored similar signs of consciousness in 4 other patients. Carol Walker faced criminal inquiry for attempting to manipulate Emily's recovery timeline for financial benefit. Jason fled the country 3 weeks later. 6 months later, River Hope Hospital was transformed. Staff diversity had grown. Medical decisions were transparent. Patient rights were prioritized. And Marcus, he was no longer fighting for respect. He had earned it. He lectured at medical conferences around the world. His Hill protocol for identifying nonverbal signs of awareness was adopted in over 30 hospitals. One morning, Marcus walked into his spacious new office overlooking Maplewood Park. "You're late," Emily teased from the guest chair. Marcus laughed. "I'm the boss now. I'm allowed." Emily stood, leaning on her cane. Her recovery was steady, though challenging. "I have news," she said with a smile. "The Hill Walker Health Trust has just been approved." Their joint foundation, funded by Emily's settlement and Marcus's research grants, would focus on investigating racial bias in medicine, providing scholarships to medical students from poor communities, and funding research into brain trauma and silent consciousness. Marcus looked out the window. "Do you think we'll change anything?" Emily smiled warmly. "We already have." Far away, Tom Reed now worked in a small medical supply store, wearing a faded polo shirt with a name tag. A muted TV behind the counter played a news segment about the Hill Walker Foundation. Reed turned away. In her mansion, Carol Walker sat alone in her garden. No guests, no interviews, just silence. She stared at the foundation's website, at the photo of Emily and Marcus smiling together. She lowered the tablet, knowing she had lost something far more valuable than money. 1 year later, Marcus stood on stage at the National Brain Health Summit. Doctors from across the country leaned forward in their seats, eager to hear him speak. "I was told I didn't belong," Marcus began, "that I didn't look the part, that I didn't have the right name. But I learned something. When you believe in your patient, when you care enough to see what others miss, that's when medicine becomes more than a job. That's when it becomes justice." The audience erupted in applause. In the front row, Emily stood proudly, clapping until her hands stung. Later, when the crowd had gone, Marcus sat quietly on the stage. Emily walked up beside him. "Still feel like you don't belong?" she asked gently. He looked at her, a small smile on his face. "No, I belong right here." She smiled back. "You didn't just save my life, Marcus. You gave me a reason to live it differently." They sat quietly together, not as doctor and patient, but as two people who had learned the same truth. Sometimes the loudest voice isn't the one that shouts. It's the one that listens, believes, and acts.
Dear viewers, if this story touched your heart, if it made you feel something, opened your eyes, or reminded you of the quiet strength that persistence and compassion can bring, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Every share helps more people hear powerful stories like Emily's, stories that prove, no matter how high the obstacles, with courage, truth, and the right people by your side, change is possible. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more true stories that speak to the soul.